apologize to someone this morning because I was thinking we were doing this tomorrow, not today, so I wasn't here this morning. The crew was, and he didn't know what he was doing because he didn't have this sheet. So we'll go through the motions now, and hopefully we can get everybody up to speed. Not a difficult process. I'm sure all of you have been on a transport in the ambulance before, so you're pretty familiar. Just kind of a brush up and a refresher. Chris is our medic here today. Who's your partner? Chris is our partner. Let me get him there. Nick? Is that right? Nick? Okay. So, we definitely work together as a team. We're there to kind of help you and do what we do on our end to keep everybody safe. So the configuration state rule has paramedic EMT. We have to have 2 certified people on the ambulance, and that's what we'll do. We'll have, usually the EMT will be the driver and the medic will be in the back and be at your beck and call if you need it. If there's any issues or problems, they should be able to answer the questions for you and help you in any way they need to. I'll tell you that all of our staff are well versed in intubations. So who intubates on your team if the need arises?
Nurse practitioner.
A nurse practitioner does. So, okay, so we can help you with that if you need it. We're going to show you locations of the fire extinguishers.
First of all, we're going to have one over here on the exterior, right behind our stair chair. Compartment here behind our safe. This is accessible from inside the patient compartment. And again, it's accessible right through here.
Of course, if we got a fire started in here, what's the first thing we're going to do? We're going to pull to the side of the road and everybody's going to get out of the vehicle. We're not going to stick around. These fire extinguishers might put it out, but most likely what you usually see in car fires or vehicle fires is they're going to slow it down, hopefully until the fire department gets there. It'll be the game plan. So we're going to get everybody out of the vehicle safely, and then we'll do what we can treatment-wise. They'll have a backup ambulance en route from somewhere, depending on where we are at the time.
Keep in mind, it's a high oxygen environment, so when we have several oxygen bottles in here, the idea is to get as far away as quickly as possible. So get you and your patient to safety, and then worry about the truck burning down after that.
Door operation. Now, there's entry to safe for everybody. We probably ought to try as much as possible entrance and exit through the side door. It's a little easier. There's handles. You can go out the back if you need to, but you got to be mindful of a couple things.
So we have a couple different configurations of our door handles. Most of them are the door handles. It's not too different from a car. There's a latch. You just pull it, it opens up. On the inside, we have the similar latch. We also have these 2 red knobs. If we pull those together, those are an emergency locks. If the door is locked or stuck, or these aren't working for whatever reason, these will get the door open. But normal operation is going to be still a hand level.
Now the rear doors.
The rear doors, same type of mechanism. We have door stops right here. Similar mechanism on the inside this door. This right-hand door here needs to be closed for you. See the lip on the inside, and then the second one over here.
Main thing I'll caution you about coming out of the back, if you step out without the back step down, you're gonna fall. Believe me, I've done it. So always make sure that you step down before you get out. Usually when they're loading that step, they put it up, so it gives them that much more room that they can push in the stretcher. So loading and unloading of the stretcher. Now, if I'm correct, you have your own stretcher with the isolette mounted on it. So what we'll do is take this stretcher out, leave it here, then we'll load yours. I do believe your stretcher is exactly the same loading type mechanism. So we're happy to load that for you. You know, as a team effort, we'll all do that, make sure it's right. But you want to just review that here.
So the stretcher locks into place so it doesn't come across the car of the road. We have a locking lever here. You see the arrows push in. That releases the locking mechanism here. On the back of the stretcher there's a bar. It engages with this hook here. This is a safety and not to be used as a normal stop. But it is help keep you from scratching the stretcher too far. There are 6 wheels on this stretcher, on all of your stretchers as well. The 4 main wheels and then the pilot wheels on front. Those are on the contact when the stretcher's all the way in down position, usually the loading position. So I'll demonstrate loading the car real quick. So the top comes straight out. The 4 main wheels are off. When you press the plus button, that's going to extend the wheel. You'll notice that pull on this, it's not going to come out because this bar right here engages with that hook. Now enough force applied in the right area, that hook has the possibility of coming out. This is safety. It's not going to come out, but it shouldn't be used as a stop. You need to watch these wheels. And like he said, we're going to be loading on a pump. But if ever you have your hands on it, if you have to for whatever reason, get it out. Now the loading position is directly opposite. We're going to raise the top until the loading wheels are approximately the height of the ambulance here. Some cars like this right here, you're going to be missing a couple inches. We usually get on both sides, lift, place it, won't make sure the bar doesn't contact on the other side of the safety. Okay. Lift the loading gate. We'll lift the top and press the minus button to retract the carriage. These front wheels go into notches in the front bracket. I'm going to pull this back out real quick. Okay, you'll see the front bracket back there. Has kind of a W shape. That engages with the cot right here and right here. The minute when the cot's loaded, you'll be able to see it easier on the other side. Those are engaged. So if we move over the cot, and it should engage the lock. Shake it to make sure it's engaged.
I'll tell you that we're starting, I'm not sure how much longer when it's starting, but we're fixing to have a cot that you pull up here and it self-loads. It's an all-loading system. We don't have to do any real lifting at all. that's coming. I think they're going to do 6 or 8 of them, maybe by the end of the year or this year, and then another 6 or 8 because they're crazy expensive, but they're super back savers on those guys. So, those are coming. We already, not that it concerns you guys as much, but we just put in service 2 bariatric units. Is this one of them? Okay. So in the bariatric units, just so you know, have ramps and a winch. So they hooked up the cot to the winch and pull it up in there. We got several patients that exceed 600 pounds. So we're really trying to save our guys' lives. Securing your equipment when you come in. So everything that's on the stretcher, your isolate is all secured well. Bags and stuff like that, we want to always have secured under a strap, under a seat belt, unless we have to take them out and get something out of them. But as much of the time as possible, when we're not using them, they need to be secured. In the event of an accident, knock on wood, we don't want bags flying around, hitting people and hurting everybody. So everything needs to be secured and not used. That includes you. Once you seat belted and buckled in place, they can definitely, just like everything else, they can save a life. That's the goal. So you want to show them your your air, your oxygen, medical gases. Probably need to come to that side. So come on. Yeah, go ahead and climb up here.
Okay, we have 6 gas ports in the ambulance, 3 oxygen, 3 medical air. We'll see some on the bulkhead over here, 2 on the overhead, and 2 on the bulkhead over here. We do not typically use medical air. That's specifically for yawn and NICUs. So if we need oxygen or medical air, we have plenty of access points. We have 2 primary power outlets, a 4-port here and a 4-port here. We do keep equipment occasionally plugged into it. If we need that, we can unplug it. It's no problem taking the pump off the charger pull on. That's all of our ports. What's next on that?
Seat locations.
I'm sorry?
Seat locations.
Okay, well, we got the seat locations. Typically, the paramedic has to be up back there, and we're generally going to be, not generally, we are responsible for everything that goes on back there. So during patient transport, paramedic has to be in the back with you. So generally, I will be sitting in this captain's seat or this seat over here to try to assist you, but stay out of your way as much as possible. This seat has a lap belt. There are 3 lap belts over here on this bench, and this seat has a 5-point harness right here. And you'll have other straps come down across. Sorry. 2 more here. So if you'll look behind you, you'll see the connections for the lap belts. They'll just go from side to side. So we'll have an opportunity to carry 3 people over here, a 4th, and then the 5th EMS group. That's going to be awfully crowded back here. Generally, y'all don't see that many people. Usually 2 or 3 maybe. Well, I've been doing this a long time. I've seen a lot of different configurations. But, anyway, so there's our seat belts, our seating locations. Anytime the ambulance is moving, we do want to be secured as much as possible. Now, patient care comes first. So if you have to unbuckle to get to the patient to do anything as far as patient care related, that of course is acceptable. Once that patient care is completed, you'll need to return to your seat and be buckled. Any patient care you can perform while still strapped in and buckled, that's preferable. That's what we want to see. Okay. We've already covered all the power connections, seat locations, seat belts,
Yeah, lights and
expectations.
sirens.
Lights and sirens. Okay, so used to be wherever we went was license sirens everywhere we go. Typically on the NICU, we've got the patient relatively stable before we start transport. Okay, sometimes that's not the case, but most of the times we don't need to turn on our license sirens. And we've got the professionals in the back of the truck that can handle most of your emergencies. In the event that we do have to turn on license sirens to proceed what we call priority 1 transport, it really honestly doesn't save much time. All the studies say that you save minutes over, well actually seconds over a transport time. So we try to keep that down to a minimum. It makes the ride easier back here. There's not as much bouncing around, not hard stops in traffic, and it's safer for not only the crew and the patient, but everybody outside the ambulance as well. People tend to panic when they see lights and sirens. They forget what they're to do, and they'll do the wrong thing, and they will get in your way, or try to cause an accident with somebody else. So we try to minimize that as much as possible. However, it is an option if we do have a critical patient. Again, we try to minimize that as much as possible.
It's kind of an industry standard that's changing right now, and that's getting away from lights and siren. Our staff are going to stop at every single red light, and if they're crossing through a red light, they're then going to stop at every lane. So it's regardless of whether you're doing 100 miles an hour with lights and sirens, you're still going to stop. And I can tell you it's so important. The only accident I've been in was one where we stopped, except the last lane we didn't stop and got T-bumped. So we're going to take our time through the intersections, and it really does not, believe it or not, save a whole huge amount of time by running real, especially through the city. So know that that's
Oh, we're good.
Okay. Now I touched on this earlier. As a paramedic, I'm going to be responsible. Everything goes on in back here. I have to write my own separate report, completely independent of y'all's. So I'll need actually some documented interaction with you. So when my patient care report is complete, I'll need like vitals and some history. Typically, the paramedic gets that from the sending hospital staff as far as all the history and whatnot. But at the end of patient care, we do a patient handoff. Even though that you're the primary caregivers of that patient, we do an official patient handoff where we do need signatures from that as well. You have anything to add to that?
no. You as well as us probably know that your ability to get paid is probably a little bit better off when you have our record with it, and vice versa. So if we don't get your record right away, they'll get it out of Epic at some point. But we will require a signature on our paperwork proving that it did happen.
The last issue here is any incidents that you have. Now, all of our crews, I've been doing NICU transports and other associated paramedic stuff for about 15 years, and I've never really come across an issue that would be anything that would be surprising from a NICU transport at all. But the crews should be more than accommodating to your needs. Okay, if there is an incident where they're not, or you have any concerns about the professionalism of our crews or any of our equipment or anything at all, you'll be contacting our administrator on call through our dispatch center. Okay, so our AOC on call. Do they have another contact number other than our dispatch center?
Well, dispatch will get you the AOC if you need to, or myself, or whoever needs to be contacted. You know, if you need somebody right now, definitely call dispatch. They'll hook you up with somebody that can answer your question right away. If it's something that can wait till tomorrow, you know, call tomorrow. But if it definitely, well, there's an AOC on call 24/7. So somebody there to connect with.
You have any questions?
Okay, if you have have no questions, we're
Good.
done.
Good.